I have 4:30. Let's call this meeting to order, and would Angie, you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bailey.
Present.
Commissioner Bunting.
Present.
Commissioner Lumberman.
Here.
Commissioner Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
All righty, John, could you give us the prayer tonight?
Heavenly Father, we pray that you would bless us with wisdom and grace as we address the agenda and the needs of Gratiot County tonight. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, born and unborn. All right, the one change the agenda I'm aware of is we don't need a closed session. Number N, we're gonna delete that. Tracy says 4 of the 5 of us got all the information at the township meeting. So we should be good there. Anybody else have any changes?
I would like to add just a little bit. I'd like to talk about the OPEB fund
Okay,
and under new business.
no business. All righty. So number 6, do we have anything on the back page? No. Add number 6,
Fine.
with the OPED. Okay, anybody, anything else? Looking for a motion to approve the agenda then? Motion by Smith,
Or.
support by Bailey. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed. So, brief public comment. Anyone here want to make a comment?
I can make a quick comment.
ahead.
Gratiot here on behalf of Energy. As many of you now know, we are working on a wind farm in Gratiot County, Heartland Farm Wind Project. I just want to provide a brief update. We have submitted our special land use permit in New Haven Township, where we plan to have 27 turbines. The project in total is aimed to have 72 wind turbines. The next application we're hoping to submit is likely that of the county, which covers Newark and Star Townships, where we have our turbines. We have 27 turbines sited in Newark Township and 2 in North Star. So it would be 29 total turbines that would come to the county for approval. The things that we would like to confirm with the county prior to making a submission is one, if you are planning to use Spicer again to review the application, as that will impact the cost and therefore the amount of money that we put in the escrow account. That is the second thing we want to confirm. Based on Spicer's fee, if that's who you were moving forward with, we would submit an escrow account of $95,000 would be our recommendation to cover their fee of $3,000 per turbine plus legal fees and the application fee. And that's something that I'm happy to follow up with after the meeting. But we would basically just want a confirmation from the county that that was an appropriate level. And again, that's something that we can work with and down the line and subject to change, but we just like to have a clump of money set aside. So as you are getting the application reviewed, there's no lag having the money you need to do so. Happy to answer any questions or anything else.
So I think that would go to the planning commission first. Yeah, right, yeah. All righty. Eric, I see you walked in the room. Did you want to make a statement now, or we could backtrack and put you on the agenda?
I just come to say hi since in my new position, so.
All right.
No statement.
I think everybody knows you. All righty, welcome. Anyone else? Anyone online?
No,
Yeah,
nobody
you see-
online.
Okay, great. All right, let's move on to the consent calendar. Anybody want to pull anything out of there?
Move the consent calendar.
Motion by Bailey to move the consent calendar. Second? Support by Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed. All righty. So Tracy, looks like you're up.
All right. Hello, everyone. A fair bit going on. I'll report in this report, but also you'll be seeing Kaylin and others in upcoming meetings. But getting out in the community a little bit, back on September 17th, I don't know that I have yet reported this to you, but I had the opportunity at the invitation of Kurt Giles to tour the Velsicol site, Area 2. This is where the thermal treatment of the water and soil is occurring. Harmful chemicals are removed from the site using heat. It's a fascinating process. Contaminated groundwater is also removed and treated. So it's quite an operation out there. Last Thursday, with many of you, I attended the Township Association meeting. But for the benefit of the public, I provided an update on the wind turbine tax litigation. Kevin Beeson, supervisor for Pine River Township, expressed concern that other township supervisors might not be fully aware of this issue. This is a very active period, so he had asked that I spend a little bit of time providing that update. Angie and Angie Thompson, Terry Ball also provided updates on the apportionment process. Would love to hear more about that. It's very, very interesting. They did a great job. So Commissioner Lemmerman arranged a Zoom meeting on the subject of broadband. He will discuss that at greater length in his report. And we had a very successful auction of surplus county property on Friday, September 24th. Kaylin's going to provide you an update on that here in a little bit later in the agenda. And speaking of Kaylin, she thinks that it might snow at some point. So she's right on top of getting someone lined up to do snow plowing for us this year. Requests for quotes are out and they're due on the 11th of October. She hopes to have a recommended vendor for you at your next meeting on October 19th. I'm still thinking and wishing it were summer, so thank goodness we have Kaylin to remember that it's going to snow. Also, the roof project, it's about 85% completed. It's quite a bit behind schedule. We had a couple of weather days, had a lot of good weather days too, but there was equipment that broke down that delayed things for several days. So Tony is on top of this. It will get done and get done properly. Tony's keeping an eye on that. Looking ahead, tomorrow morning at dark 100, I plan to attend a leadership roundtable at Masonic. This is hosted by the Mid-Michigan Health Center. Perhaps some of you received or all of you received this invitation as well. This is intended to be an update and a conversation about if and how hospital services are meeting the needs of the public. Specifically from the invitation, quote, we plan to share information pertinent to businesses about Mid-Michigan Health, but most of all, we are looking for how Mid-Michigan can better serve you and your employees, all within an atmosphere of mutual trust, respect, candor, and confidentiality. If you are not going to be in attendance and you have some thoughts about this that you would like to send in to me, please stop by here after the meeting this evening. I'll be happy to do that. And I think that that's it for this evening. Otherwise, it's just the day-to-day business. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the commissioner's report. So John, you have anything?
Yeah, as Tracy mentioned, I'll just give you a little background. My suite at the South Point Mall in St. John's The next office right beside me is Pete Empey from Light Source Communications. And Pete's expertise is in fiber optic cable, laying fiber optic cable, and he's worked extensively with the public sector in the state of Michigan over the past 20 years, and he's currently working on a big project down in Georgia. Well, I had a couple of conversations with him, and I got excited about some of the things he said. So we had a Zoom meeting, and Tracy was on it, Matt was on it, Sam and George were on it, and we talked just a little bit about how we could do it for the county and how we could reach even the hard to access households. And he is working on, Pete Empey is working on a big project down in Georgia along a highway going through Savannah. And there's a county down there that's using ARP funds that is putting in fiber optic cable. And broadly, what the proposal was there would be a way for the county to put in the infrastructure, own the infrastructure, and lease it back to internet companies, both providing internet to even our rural people in the county, but also get some money back in the form of leasing fees. And the fiber optic cable has a life of 20 to 30 years. So we had a talk about that. He is going to provide the plan that it's a Georgia county that begins with a K, and I can't remember the name of it. And just gave us some background and thoughts about how it might work. So I can't really be more detailed than that, but it was because it was a kind of a broad-based conversation.
I would only add that Casey Zahner from Greater Gratiot was also involved in the meeting. Of course, it's considerable economic development interest. Naturally, I called Jim Wheeler, of course, and Jim would agree that if we've got Casey Zahner, we're all set. So Jim, thanks for sending in Casey on that also.
Ready? George? Oh, let's see. We had an Elba Township meeting. They have, and Roger reported that at the township general meeting, that they have entered into an authority agreement, their fire department between Elba, Hamilton, and Washington Townships and the village of Ashley. They've got a lot of work to go yet, but that in principle, they've all agreed on that. So they're going to be working on that. At a health department meeting, there was much discussion, public discussion, mostly out of, well, all out of, not mostly, all out of Clinton County, where the health department has had issues with the school system, and hopefully we can work those out. I know the Bruce DeLong, who's the current president of the health department board, was going to work with the school systems down there to help them understand what they need to do or didn't need to do. So as best I can say it. But there was much discussion on that. And let's see, I think that's basically all. Well, I had a Commission on Aging meeting also.
All righty, thanks, George. I was also at the health department meeting and you pretty well covered it. Also went to the Gratiot County Township Association meeting with most of you. And I made a point to praise Pat Outman for sponsoring that bill in the House on the windmill depreciation. It was a courageous step forward for us to do that because a lot of people didn't want to touch that. I've also been keeping an eye on the redistricting situation. The state, is doing it different for the first time. And once again, it looks like they're split Gratiot County. One state rep district is going to be all of Isabella County, plus the cities of St. Louis, Alma, and Ithaca, along with Pine River, Bethany, Emerson, Arcata, and Seville Township. The other 11, now they're going to tweak it a little bit, but right now the other 11 townships are in a state rep district that goes across 4 counties. They were going to get rid of gerrymandering, but the rest of the county is going to be drawn into a district with Western, Southwestern, Saginaw County, along with the top 4 townships of Shiawassee County. And again, additionally, they're going into Genesee County for the 2 townships west of Flushing. So quite a crazy, wild district. The Senate district starts out with here in Montcalm, goes up north to Isabella and a couple on each side and a row of 4 counties above that. That's quite a big district for the state Senate. And there's a big fight going on what the congressional district's going to be, whether Midland is in with the Tri-City district. There's so many maps out there on that. We're just going to have to wait and see. At one point, they were going to split Gratiot County into 2 congressional districts. I've seen that map several times. The whole from Wheeler Township all the way down was going to go with the Tri-City district, and then the rest of the county was going to go with the big middle district. That map that they originally drew that was going to be from Carson City to Ironwood has been thrown out pretty much. So we'll stay tuned to that. Jan, you have anything?
Yes, I attended a meeting at Breckenridge, and also I had a meeting at Michigan Works in Mount Pleasant. And, went to the township meeting.
I was at the commissioner of the Township Association meeting the other night. I attended the meeting on Zoom with a few of you. I thought it was a pretty interesting meeting there with the talking about the infrastructure for laying cable down there for the internet. It'll be interesting to see what this gentleman comes back with, how this plan works in this little county down there. I don't know if we have enough big districts left to do that. I think the companies have gobbled those bigger towns up, like Ithaca, that type of stuff. But that's how I am.
All righty, thank you. We're on to new business. Kaylin, looks like you're up next on the auction.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm talking, I'm just going to play this in the background. These are some pictures from the auction that occurred on Friday, September 24th. We held a public auction behind the Drain Commission building. There's a barn that's the county's, and that's where the auction took place. We sold in total 513 items were auctioned off. And we really want to give a special recognition to John Pavlik of Pavlik Auction Service. He offered to conduct the sale at no cost to the county. He provided a moving crew the day before to help us set up, and then he did all of the advertising, and he provided cashiers and clerks for the day of. And again, charged the county, took no profit from the auction. 3 main departments participated. That was Commission on Aging, Buildings and Grounds, and IT. And I've given the amounts in your board packet of what each department brought in, with a total of $18,855. Attached to your packet, and I provided a copy of it for Commissioner Murphy, is a letter of recognition for John Pavlik and his work, and to show our appreciation for his service to the county. And that is
Katie?
my report.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. Thanks for putting that together.
You're welcome.
So I do have this motion that we'd like to recognize Pavlik. Angie, do you have the language on that? I've got it here to also.
I do.
Okay. It's the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners would like to extend sincere appreciation to Pavlik Auction and Real Estate and your willingness to assist the county in providing auction services at our most recent sale to the public. You conducted the auction at no charge to the county, and we are grateful for your willingness to assist us in this process. Again, we thank you for your contributions, time, effort in providing us with the successful auction. We appreciate your service to the county. If someone, we'd like a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bunning. We have a second.
Support.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. All right, very good. City of Ithaca up next. Alice and Jamie.
Yes, thank you for having us. Let me see if I can share my screen with you. Does everybody see the slideshow?
Yep.
I will run through this real quick for you. This is regarding the Arpa funds that Commissioner Murphy and Ms. Cortez asked us to get projects around to submit to the county. And ours is the lead service line replacement. On slide 2, we'll start with the uses of the Arpa funds. And we are going to talk about use number 4, which is making necessary investments in water, sewer, broadband infrastructure. And under item number 4, on the next slide, building or upgrading facilities and transmission, distribution, storage systems, and including replacement of lead service lines. So we know up front that it is the replacing the lead service lines mandated by the state is a proper use of the funds. On these next few slides, in case any of you aren't aware of how the lead service line project works, I'll give you an update. Of course, Michigan has adopted the strictest lead and copper rule in the nation, obviously because of the Flint crisis that happened a few years ago. And the city actually has to replace all of the service line. Let me see if I can get a laser pointer here. If you notice this dash line here, anything to the left of that is normally the city's responsibility. And anything on the property owner side is usually the property owner's responsibility. For this project, the water supplier is responsible for the whole thing. So on this slide, if we have a lead gooseneck, right here would be the gooseneck, and we've got the lead service line, we have to replace the whole thing going from the water main into the customer or the resident's home, 18 inches. Same is true with the lead gooseneck and a galvanized line. We have to replace all lead and galvanized lines and goosenecks. The last one here is a lead gooseneck that we would have to replace that. And on the next slide, again, we have the lead gooseneck with the galvanized line that we would have to replace. And if over the years the lead gooseneck was replaced along the way, but the galvanized line was not, we have to go in and replace that galvanized line all the way to the homeowners, 18 inches inside the home. The community benefits that we see with county ARPA assistance, some of the benefits would include expediting this costly repair mandate from the state to improve the safety of drinking water and health of citizens and visitors. Obviously, any project like this, the quicker you can get it done, the better. The second line is to decrease the burden of such large unforeseen costs to the taxpayers of Ithaca. It's not something that anybody's put in their capital improvement plan. The third example would help from the county would allow the city to hire some of this work out so we could still remain running our facilities of the city. I don't think the state really realizes that what a burden it would be on such a small municipality or large ones for that matter. The city's priority for the ARPA funding, the city of Ithaca is scheduled to receive the $289,610 in ARPA funds, which we just received notice of last week that we are going to be receiving that shortly, or the first half of it, I should say. Our city council concluded that the lead service line repair is the single biggest burden placed on the city residents at this time. And on, I believe, August 3rd, the city council officially approved the use of the city's ARPA funds on this mandated project. So in a sense, we're putting our money where our mouth is and asking for county help on this project. The next slide is a cost estimate that we came up with. And this first page is the DPW staff doing the work over the years. And we've estimated about having to replace about 75% of our 1,040 lines, which I believe, I know this is hard to see, about 780 lines at $1,800 a line estimated, which is about $1.5 million. If we were to hire a contractor, local contractor would be anywhere between $2,600 to $2,900 a line. And a non-local through our engineers at Rowe estimated around $2,300 to $2,600 a line. So on the next page, this just gives you county collaborations with the city of Ithaca over the years and what we're doing currently, some of the things. The Ithaca community takes pride in being the county seat. With the downtown location of the courthouse, it brings in business and visitors to our city and our businesses. The successful collaborations, some of them that we have currently, the law enforcement services that we contract through the county. Actually, I have a meeting with Sheriff Morris on Thursday to continue talks on the new contract. We use the county building inspector. I work with Tony a lot on projects in the city. And again, with the road commission, the road paving projects we do with them. The animal shelter and officer shooting range, these are located on city-owned property outside of city limits that we do. There's no charge to the county to use those properties. The next couple slides is just a map of the city of Ithaca. You can see the blue highlighted areas are county-owned buildings within the city of Ithaca. The final page is going to be the South Industrial Park, Gratiot County Farm. And that's just to show you some locations that's county owned within the city of Ithaca. And that's the presentation of the slideshow. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I appreciate you allowing us to come on and give this presentation. And I'm sure the mayor would like to say a couple words when you're done with your questions, if you have any.
Jamie, this is John Lemmerman. How soon do you want to get started? And if you were going to delay for a few months, how would that affect you?
A few months would not affect us. We've already started some of it. We did one downtown location for Gemini Capital here this past year, which you would see on that first page of the estimate, which is about $8,500 for that line. So it's a little more expensive for the downtown, and that's why you see downtown was just about under 100,000 to do the other 11 residents downtown. So really, we're not going to do this over the winter months. It's something we would start up full force in the spring.
The reason I asked that, I was talking with Chris Oosterhoff, and he says that the Michigan Association of Counties is trying to work out a deal with the state of Michigan for a $4 billion matching program with the ARP funds from the state of Michigan. He does not know the timing of this, but he thinks it might be done by middle of December. And what my understanding is that if that would work out that way, the money that you're asking for, the county could put up half and the state perhaps would match half. So at this point, the way I understand, it's kind of a theoretical concept. This, it has not been pushed through or yet, but it's potentially could work out that way. And what I totally don't know is if we were to approve your request, if we could go back and say, hey, we would still like that half.
Right, I understand that, and if that is a possibility, it's hard to deal with what ifs because the clock has started on this project, and we have so much time to get it done. And if we're going to do it ourselves, I'm not sure we can get it done within the time frame. So, as for the city, we have to deal with what we know now. Hopefully, they do come through with some money. Just to give you some examples, Detroit is estimating around $650 million to complete this project there. And I think Grand Rapids is $250,000. So most of the money, like everything else, is going to go to those concrete jungles, I believe. But that would be great if the state came through with some money.
Jamie, Tracy Cordes here. Has there been, of course, we received as a county, we received our monies directly from the feds. It didn't go through the state as it is for you.
Right.
I don't believe that the feds are yet allowing ARP funds to be used as match funds. Do you know anything about that?
I understood as far as matching our funds with yours, Tracy.
Yes.
Yeah, I understood that you could not do that, but Chris said that you could in our email exchange.
Yeah, I think that we need to take a look at that. I am concerned about that also.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of these questions that are being asked and things that are not yet clear, and clarification that's happening. So
it is. Yet they've started the clock. So
yeah, I do introduce that concept as another question mark over aid from other sources. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Well, you mentioned time frame. What is the time frame you're looking at on this project? Over
well, with
2 years.
No, with the
Longer?
funds, you have until the end of 2026 to use those funds.
Right, to use it, correct.
Yep. So you've got to have it obligated by the end of 24.
Right.
But I think Jamie, I think Chuck's question was, you say there's an urgency to get this lead pipe situation started. And I think that's what he's asking, what's your timeline on that?
Yes, we have to, and we have started it. We've done some around the city, but we have to do 5% per year. So, and they've given us 20 years to get it done, and we have to show 5% completion per year.
Let's keep going up then.
Jamie, is that every community that provides city water? I mean, I'm looking at communities like Ashley, Parrington. I don't think Sumner has. I think they have wells, but
no. Yeah, Ithaca and St. Louis. Every water supplier has to do this.
So I was kind of wondering, is some of the funding going to come through that system?
Yeah, that's what we don't know.
a few dollars a month from everybody as
Well,
part of this plan?
the city is undergoing a water rate study right now because we're so
Okay.
behind the times. Any help with this project would reduce the percent that we do have to increase water rates. I think that's what you're asking, Chuck.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm- I'm not-
anything with the city that the city has to expend funds, ultimately it comes from the residents.
Yeah.
And Jamie, once again, what would the total cost of the project?
We think we could get it done under $2 million. If we were to come up with 1.5 plus our share, like Tracy said, whether we can combine those or not, we think we could complete the whole project.
I didn't catch how much did he say he thought it would cost?
Well,
1.5 to 2 million is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's the estimate. That's correct.
well, I understand John's concern. And you're not gonna do it in the winter time. I'm wondering if we couldn't look at putting money aside, if you will, on our own. I mean, just, and hold it. All right. And then when we find out from the state of Michigan, if they're gonna do this, then we can proceed from there. You know what I'm trying to say? If we,
Oh, you're saying you want to approve the project and just put money aside until we figure out what we can do?
yeah, and then we don't pay them, because once we pay them, I think we might fall into a gray area which says matching funds, and right now, my understanding is we can't use matching funds. So I'm thinking if we can agree in principle to hold that money back, and until we get clarification from the state of Michigan, how they're gonna, how or if they're gonna help with these projects, and at what, and at how much.
And then I'm just thinking, if we give you guys 1.5 million and Alma comes and asks for, maybe we need to look more at everything as to what we're actually can do, or St. Louis, or.
My concern is the money itself, not what the city wants, or not any projects like this. It's well deserved and well needed. My concern is the 7 million. It always has been the 7 million. I think we got that money because of every taxpayer that lives in this county.
Mhm.
And I just think by putting in 20% of it or whatever it is into one community, whether it's Ithaca, Alma, and I'm a property owner in Ithaca and I got some lead pipes. But I just think that everybody has a slice of this money, and I just think we need to find a good balance with this. This is all about the money. It's not about what we do with it. I think we got to do something with it that represents almost everybody in this county, because if we only had 20,000 people in this county, we would have got half the money. We got paid, I think it was per person, and how big our county is or whatever. And so I think when you look at these projects, I think we got to look at what doesn't benefit people who live in Bannister, Sumner, North Shade Township. I understand coming to the county seat, but just like you say, Chuck, I just think we need to look at this money. We haven't even sat down and really talked about, we haven't just really talked about how we're going to dole this money out and really look for a good project, or not. It's not, this is a good project. I guess I don't want to say that, but how everybody can get some benefit out of this money.
Yeah, well, it might be Ithaca and some of the cities with water, but it might be the rural areas might want broadband. So there's a lot of us, everything to pull together.
We ain't got enough money to do all that.
So,
You're going
No,
to,
but there's supposed to be federal money coming on
I
broadband.
just listened to him on the way up. He's down in Monroe. He said if he gets the thing passed, then we're all going to have lots of money. We're going to do it all. But I just think the 7 million we got in the bank, I think we really need to look at it hard and say, how does everybody get a piece of this pie, and what's the best use of the money? This is not a good use for the money. It is. Everybody's got a good project they need, but I just think we need to establish how we can use this money and everyone gets a slice of that. You know, and I've talked about that a couple of times and we haven't really talked about setting.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Sam. But what is it? It's like, man, it's like a poof here and a cloud here and you're putting your hands, getting our arms around it and find out what specifically we're going to spend this on is, and benefit the most people. That's, to me, that's the most difficult part.
Yeah,
And I think this is why we went out and we sent a letter out to the townships and to the different cities. If you have meaningful projects, send them in and we'll take a look at them.
But the sad part about that is that if we've had the Breckenridge Wheeler Fire Department come here and say, we need some money.
Right.
And now we have Ithaca and we'll have other communities come in. Then we're gonna have to say, I think your project is better in Ithaca than it is in Breckenridge. You don't need a fire department or Alma doesn't need something or Sumner doesn't need some of the Village of Ashley. They're trying to start a fire authority or something. They don't need a truck or something, you know? Then we become the deciders of what's best for your community with the money that was given to everybody. I guess I just feel
But there's certain criteria that money can be spent on. And
well, they're all gonna fit in the criteria. Everybody's
I'm
gonna.
telling you, the Breckenridge letter with stuff for their fire department isn't gonna fly. It's not gonna be COVID related.
Well, I think we could buy a fire truck, buy emergency stuff. I read it.
I think that there's
a difference, you know, but
the argument to also, like you just brought up, the argument is when you come with a viable project that can be spent under the guidelines of the American Recovery Plan. That's still a situation where I don't know if there's an expert out there yet that really knows for sure what everything is.
you'd hate to spend it and all of a sudden they didn't say you didn't do right. You got to give it back somewhere.
That's right. But like I say, like project like this, we know this spells it right out within the articles of the American Recovery Plan that we know that can be spent on this. But some other stuff is more of a gray area. I'm going to put it that way. So, you know, I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm just putting it out there.
I mean, we have an airport in this county. It's
Right. I was thinking of that too. Yeah. You know,
people are going to figure it out and say, well, I can make this fit. And then we become the selectors of that. And I guess I don't want to be the guy picking the projects that are going to go on in this county. And maybe that's my job here, but I don't know if it is. To say your project in Alma is worthwhile more than the project in Ithaca, or I don't want to do that. And because I'm probably not the guy that lives there, you know, and I'm not the guy that knows what the needs are. You know, those folks know it. And
Well,
they're all good projects, they're all needs.
I think the money could, the way I look at it, your metropolitan areas is where the most of this money is going to be spent. Simply because of the way the American Recovery Plan is written. You've got to have infrastructure. And we have 16 townships, and I would dare say that at least 10 of them don't have any infrastructure. And so they've got money that, you know, they're still struggling. And what I tell people in my townships is, don't worry about it yet. Keep the money, keep getting interest on it. And I dare say the government's not going to want all their money. At the end of this thing, townships are going to sit there with a pile of money. And if worst comes to worst, you can technically write everybody in that township a check for $99. So, you know, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just know that we have to start somewhere.
We got a couple, 3 years. I mean, we've got some, it's not like we got to spend it by next week.
Well, you got projects that need to go too.
But we're in this project right here. We don't know if they can put their money in or we can put our money in. I mean,
That's what I say.
you know, I guess I guess I just wouldn't want to say, okay, we'll do it and we'll just put your money over here and figure out whether we're going to pay it for it all or pay for none of it or pay for a little of it. I mean, if I guess if that's what you want to do, you know.
Well, I'm just thinking it take projects like that and they have to be done, but we don't have a lot of the answers yet. We don't have a lot of the answers from the state of Michigan yet of what the city of Ithaca or the city of Elmer or the city of St. Louis can get from the state of Michigan to help with those projects. We don't know.
yeah, I guess what I'm hearing is it sounds like maybe we should wait till December, see what the state might do, and that would give us then more time for everybody to send in projects.
I know that this isn't the main issue that you're struggling with, but I feel very confident in saying that our federal ARP funds cannot be used as a match for projects. This has been amply discussed in MAC webinars and elsewhere. Now, will there be some move to change that or discussion about that? I don't know, but that is the current state of the situation.
So
So
when you look at these funds here, if they've got a couple $100,000 to put at it, they do 6 houses or whatever $200,000 do, and we do the rest of them. It's not a match. It's not like we're matching their funds for putting it in.
No,
I mean,
understand.
there's ways to get around that.
Well, Sam, whether there are or there aren't, many grants, as you know, do require, we'll give you 200,000 if you throw in 200,000.
But they're not
And
asking that.
that's clearly a match situation. Now, if there's a way of getting around it, that's fine. And that's not really what I'm addressing. But just as a straight across match, that's not a permitted use of our funds.
But they're not asking for a straight across match. They're saying they're gonna put their $200,000 in, is gonna do so many hookups, and then we would pay for the rest at 1.5 or whatever, it would be 1.7 or something like that. The whole project be under a couple $1 million. But I'm just back to spending the money, to try to make it equal, somehow disperse this money to the county,
And perhaps
And that's just me. That's just me. I've really thought a lot about it, and I wish they'd have done something different with the money. It's great to have it and great to use it, but
I think, in my opinion, we have a lot of uncertainty right now. We have a project that needs to be done. And I mean, it needs to be done in a timely manner. And by what I hear, spring is the most ideal time, but I also hear that the state of Michigan, can't depend on them to do a whole lot, but hopefully by the first of the year, they have got a plan for that particular project. Because they're all over the state of Michigan. There's not one city that's not affected by this water problem, not one. And so, I think it's fair to say we're sensitive to it. We'll take a look at it, but let's wait till the state of Michigan comes out with their ruling on how they're going to handle this project. And then we can adjust from there if we choose to do so.
Jamie, were you coming to us tonight looking for the whole $1.5 million, the whole cost of the project?
Yeah, it's not something we have to have tonight, Chuck. It's and I understand you guys have a big job to do, and it's a big ask.
Yeah, that was John asking.
I'm sorry, John. To Sam's point, I understand it's a big ask, and you guys have a big job to do with these funds. Anything that is offered to the city of Ithaca is going to be a benefit to our citizens. So from that standpoint, I appreciate the time and your consideration on this project.
It sounds like we have interest, but we have a lot of questions yet. Another thing I just thought of, you're saying you're putting in your whole 289,000. That's your first payment. You should have another equal payment coming, or is that everything?
That's everything. We'll get half of that shortly. Yes.
Okay.
They get $99 per person. Yep.
Yeah, that's the whole amount, Chuck.
Okay. Any further questions? Or you said the mayor might want to speak with us?
Alice, are you on?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank you for listening to our presentation. And as some of you are aware, we not only have this unfunded mandate to handle, but the landfill where you have the dog where the dogs are and where the where the men have the rifle range. We have that we're not sure how much is going to cost. So we do have quite a few expenses coming up, and yep, and we have agreed to use our money for the lead pipe. We've thought that was the most crucial right now. And so anything you can give us, and I also understand it should be equity with all the residents of the county in some way. So we understand that and appreciate you listening to us and considering anything. I thank you so much.
All righty, thank you. Any further questions? All righty, thank you much.
Thank you.
Sure, we'll be doing something at some point.
All right. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Dan, you're up.
Yes, sir. Before you in your packet, you should have a resolution, a proposed resolution, asking for the county commission to pass or adopt a resolution supporting House Bill 5026, which is basically the renewal and extension of the 911 Enabling Act in the state of Michigan. For anyone that is not aware, the 911 Enabling Act is due to sunset the end of December this year. I don't see any reason why the state legislature or the governor would actually allow that to happen, but were that to happen, 911 in the state of Michigan, the majority would cease to be able to legally operate or collect funds, because most of them, like your 911 center here in Gratiot County, you're surcharge funded. And that surcharge, although even approved by voters, is directly correlated to the 911 Enabling Act, which authorizes that ability to do that. So anyway, Representative Julie Calley presented this bill some time ago. They're doing a lot of work on it, but the Michigan Communications Directors Association, which I'm a member of, and the State 911 Committee has requested individual 911 directors or coordinators to go to their county commissions, requesting, basically this is a very, very formal way for you guys to get this message to our legislators saying, we need to move on this and we need to get it taken care of. The two big things, I included the talking points in it too. So I don't want to try to beat anything to death, but some of the big things that they're trying to address in it is the shortcomings of prepaid 911 devices, and trying to do some audits and stuff like that, trying to figure out why things are shortcoming. But this legislation will move $16 million one-time fund in the state to help fund the state 911 projects, which is all related to next gen 911 and keeping that infrastructure up to date and moving forward. Really, that's it in a nutshell. Again, I don't want to give you guys too much unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Believe we're looking for a resolution. Go ahead.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Okay,
You have it.
I have it here. Angie, do you have it also?
To approve it. I mean, it's.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Smith, second by Bunning to approve this resolution. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Resolution passed. Yep. Okay.
Radio money back, Dan?
I was actually in communication today with Procom. And
Got us a check?
as good British subjects, we are still in the queue with the state of Michigan, waiting for those radios. The radios are in hand. They just have to be programmed by the Michigan Public Safety Communication Systems radio programming unit. And the last I knew, they only have 3 people that do it for the entire operation. So I'm being a good British subject and I'm waiting for the queue.
All right.
Well,
A couple months.
I told Rich Ramirez, I think yesterday, I said, hopefully it'll be a nice Christmas present at this rate.
I have a question though.
Sure.
Those 20 some odd radios that Procom got, are they waiting for all the radios to get set up before they pay for those radios?
That I don't have an answer, or I've been solely focused, George, on just getting our radios.
So do we need to get our finance department on them? I don't know. I hate to do that, but I mean, it's been hanging out there for quite a few months.
Physically, actually, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have them.
I mean, but like our county someplace has them, like we're in this
They're
county.
actually with Procom. The radios are with
They have the
Procom,
radio.
and
So they're gonna have the guys come there and program our 75 or something.
without getting too technical, Tracy knows how technical I can get, so I'm gonna try to keep it real simple.
Can I have you come up to the
Yeah,
podium
absolutely.
so that we can be recorded? We
That's
can't-
a real easy question. They're gonna get somebody to program them, but they've got our radios. We've paid for them.
Yep.
And so we're just waiting on programming, which was included in the price of the radios?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So
It's in the queue for state of Michigan and they are.
I understand that, but
But
I just don't want it.
But my point is, we got radios we paid for, but they've got radios that they said they would buy. And what's the holdup on paying for those radios?
I'll check with Chris.
Because that was,
Tom has purchased back.
that was $8,000 a radio times 20 radios or whatever,
25, I think.
25 radios.
75.
I mean, think about it.
All right.
I don't want to wake up a year from now and have all of a sudden in the middle of the night say, hey, wonder if we ever got that money for.
When we get,
Not in the middle of the night.
when we get them, I'll ask the sheriff, I'll ask the deputy. All the city officers, all of them.
Put it out on the radio.
I'll do an eyeball. No, yeah, trust me, it's been a miserable experience for me. But again, the biggest thing is it's been the wait from the state. But I mean, you know, it seems like everybody and their brother is getting radios and
Well,
so.
yeah.
And
I can easily find that out about the,
Well, we should have, don't let them, I don't think they'll forget, but I don't know. I'd like to have a reason why they're not.
I'm sure that Chris won't let them forget.
It's been a while. And so I'm just looking at how come they haven't done anything? Is there a reason why they haven't paid us for the radios they said they'd buy?
Yep.
That's all.
I mean, they could sound.
Simple question.
Yeah.
But it might be a simple answer that I don't know about. I'm just,
Maybe they forgot.
Yep, no, not a problem.
Money.
and then also I had one question, Dan. Didn't you have a proposal or two for us for ARP funds?
Yes, I did.
None, so,
And I need to find time to get my,
okay. Well, it sounded like better get something in before the end of the year.
yeah, I just got to get with people and when they have time and I have time and stuff like that, but yeah,
Understand, but just keep that,
yeah.
keep that in mind. And then John too, we should be getting something on the airport that they might want to use some. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anybody else?
Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
didn't know you were gonna come in here and
Well, I just give you more work, see?
I'm not asking for money.
Asking you. Would you bring the check?
All right, we have a letter from Greater Gratiot here. They want us to, I guess they want us to reappoint.
Yeah,
Okay, were you gonna handle that?
The letter actually speaks for itself. They occasionally, or at various intervals, and Jim's on the line, but at various intervals,
Jim.
this board is to make appointments to the Greater Gratiot Board. It's been Chuck, you and me, and they're just seeking reappointment. Again, the letter speaks for itself.
Yeah.
All righty, Jim, go ahead. I forgot you were on.
Yeah, we just request 2 people to be on there. And it's traditionally been through where our bylaws read now to be, one of the commissioner and then the county administrator is the way we've delineated it. So, and the last, I think 2 years, of course, it's been Tracy as a county administrator since she's been here, and Chuck, you've been the other representative.
So I'll move to appoint him.
So moved by Commissioner Smith. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Sheriff, you have something?
Back during the Fair for Youth, the fair has a parking detail that they recruit organizations to help with, like the Spanish Club or pep band or, whatever, 4-H clubs to raise money for their respective clubs. They had one back out, I think it was the second day on the Tuesday, the second day of the fair. Don't quote me on that, but they reached out to the undersheriff on Monday and asked if we would have deputies available to assist them with parking detail, taking money at the gate and stuff like that for parking. Through the goodness of the heart of a bunch of people at the sheriff's office, we were able to scramble up enough deputies to cover, it was a 6-hour block to help with parking detail that day. And what they do is the fair board does is donates half the money back to the organization that does parking detail. So if they bring in $1,000, the organization gets 500, fair gets the other half. So when they reached out to us and told us we would be getting a payment of, I don't remember the exact amount, $500 and some dollars, I think it was. I told them to keep it, put it towards the kids of the fair. What is the sheriff's office going to do with $500 and some dollars? I'm not going to put it in the general fund. It will go through a much better course. And in your packet is the letter from the fair thanking us for donating that money back. So just wanted to recognize my deputies that went out there that day and the undersheriff that helped take money in for parking and donating that money back to the fair for projects for whatever they deem fit. Thank you.
Kudos to you guys. It's good to see you in a different spot.
Pat on the back, bud.
All right. John, you're up next. OPEB.
Yeah, as far as the OPEB fund goes, we've got that all sitting and not invested at this point. And I just wanted to put a plan together on how to do that with the idea that even a bad plan is often better than no plan at all. October often is a bad time for the stock market, and there's a lot of weird things going on. Energy's going up fast, interest rates are going up. There's problems in China. And when you look at sharp sell-offs in the stock market, they'll often go down 30% in a fairly short period of time. And right now, the stock market's down about 5% from its all-time highs. I was talking about this with Chris, and Chris says we can't fund via ACH. We have to fund via a check. So from the time we invest, it might take a week for the check to get over to reinvest some money. So all I was saying is that if something wild would happen with the stock market and it would go down sharply, if the S&P 500 would be down 15% from its highs, I think we should write a check for 20% of the OPEB fund of our uncommitted balance. And that'll probably take a week, to get there. So maybe the market goes down more. And I just thought that this might be a good spot to get started, because really, if you look and past does not predict the future. They always have to say that disclaimer, but typically from Halloween to the end of the year, you almost always get a stock market rally. And so my thought is, and I plan to make a motion that if the stock market goes down 15% based on the S&P 500 from its most recent high, that we send a check over to the OPEB for 20% of our outstanding balance. And that from that point on, we write a check for 4% of the outstanding balance each month on the 15th of the month. And, just as a way to start moving some of that money over to start getting it invested.
So when you say stocks, our money sits with mirrors now, right? We're writing a check to mirrors.
Yeah.
And so we're going to invest in a mirrors program, stock program that's accountable for doing this kind of investment with this money to where and they won't take it. They have all our money in the bank, their bank, and they won't say, we want to transfer 20% today.
Right.
That's a state government for you.
No, that's just amazing. I guess I'd drive over there that day. I know.
Hand them the check.
We must have a checkbook. We must have a checking account on that account where the money is setting right now. If it's in a money market account with them or something.
I think we're holding that here. I don't know what bank that 300,000 is.
Yeah, that's currently in our account. We have not.
Well, this is just our last payment,
the last 300,000 that.
I thought you were talking like we got what, 4 or 5 million. That stuff.
But I mean, we've got so.
That's invested.
Yeah, we've got 300,000 in cash.
I see. Okay. So we still have that here.
Yes.
But they still have all their other money that we've been depositing for years. That I've been here.
Or not, depending on the stock market, you know that.
So this is all, I mean, Mike, we're not just picking some stocks and let them run and see how they do. We're going to give that back to mirrors and put it in
Correct.
one of their plans.
Correct.
I think that's kind of crazy. They won't HCA it, or they won't trust you for 2 days until a check gets.
Aren't they holding it? Oh, no.
No.
We're sending it.
We got 20 million with it of our.
Have the funds.
I don't know.
We got millions of our money.
And you were just, and at this point, you're saying put 20% of the 300,000 that we're setting on.
Yeah.
Into that.
Which would be 60,000.
Yeah. Put it in the account. Yeah. We got to do something with it sooner or later because we voted to hold off to see what the market was going to do.
Right.
And this is kind of a plan, so.
So that's a motion, John?
Correct.
And we have a second?
I'll support it.
A second by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion, further discussion?
I guess I'd work hard at not have to. I mean, the mail is terrible. I work hard with these people. They have millions of dollars of our money. And if we called them today and said, we're going to send you $60,000 and we want to put it in your stock portfolio plan A, I think we can pay in the checks in the mail. I can do that with my guy. I mean, I don't even have the money in my money market.
With mirrors, we don't have a guy.
We got a girl that comes.
Well, we got that
representative,
but I don't think she handles the money, if you know what I mean.
But I just
Transfer the money?
do that when you, John. Doesn't it make sense? You can't do that?
It makes sense to me that you should be able to do that. Yes.
It's not like we're just like a first-time customer with them. They got millions in our retirement fund.
Right.
No, I just think, who knows? In a week, 10 days, time a check gets there, and then they get somebody around who comes on a Friday. Now you wait another couple of days.
Why can't you transfer the money? How come you have to send a check?
Because they won't take it.
That's just kind of.
Then drive it over there. Take a check and drive it down. Yeah, you can be there in an hour, 2 hours.
I'll volunteer.
I need a check. It's a satchel full of money, yeah.
There you go.
I'll be the courier.
Check, he'll take it down, yeah.
Tell them I'm coming.
All righty. Any further discussion? Angie, do we need a roll call on this, do you think?
We can. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed. All right, unfinished business, I don't see any. Anybody have anything? Additional public comment. Go ahead.
I have a statement I'd like to read. My name is Les Roseanne. I'm a resident, Alma, live at 889 Mill Street. I noticed on your agenda that I was under the impression that your public comment for this second section was 5 minutes. I see you're requesting 3. I think that's changed from the last time I was here. I just would ask your permission to extend this. The statement is right around 5 minutes in length.
Without objection, proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. The quote attributed to Sherilyn Kenyon, "Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should," is relevant in light of the potential imbroglio which soon may envelop the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners. Brief civics lesson about governing bodies may be in order at this juncture. The Alma City Commission and the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners each appoint volunteer community members to serve on nonpartisan advisory committees as a component of their governing function. Specifically, speaking of Alma, the appointed planning commission members serve strictly in an advisory capacity. The city charter prohibits the planning commission from acting directly upon any issue that may come before them. They can only vote to forward recommendations to the city council because council members are the final arbitrators on any planning commission recommendation. Seems straightforward enough, but there is more to the story. Rezoning request from the Masonic Pathways was forwarded to the Alma Planning Commission for their review a few months ago. A rezoning change was necessary to enable Bethany Christian Services the ability to house immigrant juveniles between the ages of 12 and 17 who had arrived in this country as unaccompanied minors. The minors would be held for a short period of time at a facility on Warwick Drive owned by the Masonic Pathways. Once this rezoning request was publicized, the proverbial sewage hit the fan, splattering it just about everywhere. All of us soon found ourselves metaphorically venturing to Alice's rabbit hole, where we were subsequently dumped unceremoniously into a strange place known as Wonderland. Wonderland's probably a misnomer, as the surreal trip had nothing remotely resembling wonderful. Actually, it was like a nightmare as a wedge was thrust violently into the heart of the Alma community. In the confusion, supporters and objectors to the rezoning request scrambled to their respective corners. For the most part, the supporters stayed within the guardrails and public decorum, community standards while pitching their case. Those who objected, on the other hand, well, just let's say that White Rabbit and the Queen of Hearts would be proud. When all was said and done, the Planning Commission recommended that the rezoning request be denied by the City Commission. After due diligence and weeks of public input, the City Commission met and called for a motion on the rezoning request, which was made by Commissioner Roger Allman and seconded by Commissioner Nick Piccolo. After deliberation on the matter, the commission voted to approve the rezoning request in a 4-2 split vote, with Mayor Mapes recusing himself from the deliberation and subsequent vote. My initial response to this post-vote reaction is to continue along the metaphorical track as the assembled masses emerge from the rabbit hole to embark on a very special trip. Metaphors aside, government functions most efficiently when established societal norms, laws, rules, civility, and decorum are followed by all. Yelling, misinformation, threats, disruptive behavior, thinly veiled innuendos, and weaponization of certain laws should never be the cornerstone of governing principles. This is especially egregious when the behavior is used as a cudgel in an attempt to overthrow or discourage legally sanctioned actions of any publicly elected board or commission. Those who objected to the passage of the rezoning request have now filed recall petitions, which are codified by statute but work best when all involved stay within certain well-established boundaries. There is nothing in the recall statute requiring merit or validity of any recall petition. The statute only has 2 qualifying criteria. Number 1, the language must be factual, and number 2, it must be clearly understandable. In my opinion, what is taking place here is a bastardization of the recall statute intentions. The local effort is based on raw partisanship, electoral opportunistic behavior, and the purest of radical tribalism, none of which are delineated in the United States Constitution. The Alma City Commission acted in a legal oversight capacity and well within the language of the Alma City Charter. I can assure you that if this vote would have gone the other way, there would never been any type of recall action taken. It is simply that those wishing to see the zoning request denied lost, and they failed to concede that simple fact. Now, you may ask how this whole mess may affect the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners. In a recent interview with WNEM TV, Charles Murphy, the chairman of the board and chairman of the Gratiot County Republican Party, admitted that he supports this recall effort. I also have it upon good authority that he not only supports the effort, but has been acting as an advisor to those advocating for it. According to Mr. Dave Justin, who serves on the Alma School Board, the cost for a special school election can range anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000. Gratiot County will incur an undetermined financial cost and potential public relations disaster for this questionable recall effort, especially if the board chairman continues to act as a rabid supporter and advisor. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. And I will close this with a simple quote that I found by Charles Pickering. It says, "A healthy democracy requires a decent society. It requires that we are honorable, generous, tolerant, and respectful." Words well spoken. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. All righty, anybody else?
I don't even know if I want to kick this dog or not. Can I ask you a question? And I didn't hear any of his comments. I mean, I don't get the Morning Sun or anything like that, but was he speaking on behalf of the county or just him?
He was,
Yeah, I mean,
for the interview?
I guess I didn't see it. If you saw it.
The interview, he was publicly interviewed by WNEM TV, was identified by the network news as chairman of, I believe, the chairman of the Republican Party.
Are you the chairman of the Republican?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
The only thing I'd add is you're not accurate as there's going to be any cost to it. The recall law has to be, the re-election has to be held at either the May or November elections, regularly scheduled. So.
Well, may I respond? There is a cost to validating signatures. You have to have, and the figure that I heard, it can range anywhere between $1.50 to $7 for each signature to validate it and approve it to appear on the number required signatures required for the vote to go forward. There is a cost to the county. Anything else?
Well, I guess as long as he was a represent, I mean, if he didn't come representing the county, because we've never discussed that. And as a county commission, or, I mean, that's.
Well, you know, sometimes they say perception's reality.
I understand that totally. Yeah.
And if the county is incurring an expense to make it.
Well, I think the county, if and I'm not even sure how, I'm probably in a pool that I don't know how to swim in, but I don't even know how the recall type of works. I think it comes to you folks, the county clerk, but I think that's just legislatively and done. And there's a thing there. And if it's something that happens in the village of Perrington, they can recall somebody and you still would look at that type of thing. The county board would look at that. That's part of our cost of doing business, probably. I would think if somebody decides to have a recall election.
I was at the clarity hearing that was held in this room.
Okay.
And it was clearly explained that there had never been the judge, the probate judge sits and chairs that committee. She says, "I've never done one of these here. Never done one of these." And the recall process, there's no merit or validity. I mean, if I don't like the fact that you're wearing a green shirt and your socks don't match, you can take that, and as long as it's factual and clearly understood, a recall petition could be filed.
And I think that's just the way the rules are.
It is, and it's
the way the rules. I don't think those rules were set by this county years ago. I think those were set somewhere else, Angie.
For statute, that's codified.
Yeah. So,
but if
somebody decides to do that, we're going to have some cost, like you say, if you don't like my shirt. Yep.
And the problem is, I think the system was set up that there's guardrails on both sides.
Yeah.
And people understand that you really shouldn't use that process, even though you can. You really shouldn't use it to it shouldn't be weaponized, I guess. And I think this one has been.
you, Brady. Thank you. Any other comment? Anybody online?
Nope, I'm not seeing anybody online.
Okay, great. Anyone have anything further?
So this Tracy, this is closed session stuff, but that's all set with the windmill stuff?
Yeah, we took that off there.
All right.
All righty, I think we've exhausted our agenda. Well, without objection, we're adjourned.